Hello, my name is Peter and I work on the project Wanderword, which is an interactive audiobook or a platform for interactive audiobooks. We hope that once this service comes out, that people not only play these interactive audiobooks, but also they are empowered to write stories themselves and share them with people. We're going to have a marketplace where you can buy and sell and trade the stories. We have a free editor that is released for anyone to use, and also a free client. I thought it would be good to show a little bit of the current user interface that we're using and working on for the moment, and then I'm going to dive into dialogue in Wanderword, how you speak to other non-playing characters in the game. Wanderword is, and it's important to us that this is not a kind of a multi-choice game where during the storytelling that the game is kind of put on pause and asks you whether you want to do ABC, but it's much more of a intuitive experience, an organic kind of approach to gaming where you speak and it works. And we'll see if it works tonight. So here in this little simplified menu system, Wanderword is really based on simplicity. When I start it up, this is what it looks like. I can go into my settings. I can turn off music and background effects, such as whether it's thunderstorms or wind and so on. I can turn it off. I can also turn off sound effects. Sound effects in Wanderword, they are triggered for dramatic effects during certain events, but they're also attached to objects and events in the game, so they actually become somehow tangible objects, since the game takes place pretty much in your head, having sounds attached to a certain object, whether it's a door closing or an object falling. It helps the player to memorize them, so we don't overwhelm them with information. We also have a speed of the narrator, so there's only a narrator. We don't use voice talents. We use text to speech synthesis, and we love Cereproc that develops fantastic software for natural speech. You should note that the Cereproc we're using here, William, is just straight off typed in. We haven't made any alterations to it, or have not used the SDK, so it's just off the shelf, so it can sound a little robotic or stiff at times, but we're working on that. It sounds terrific to our ears, at least. Up here is then the voice, Sarah voice, William. And the idea here is that you can, as you play, you can download new sets of voices. Imagine you had a Morgan Freeman voice for a suspense thriller, so on, or other voice digital personalities that you pick for this mood that you want to build in the story you play. Up here is probably the most unique feature with Wanderword. You can set the density of your engagement from none. Zero density means that it's a traditional, normal audiobook, no interaction. To all the way up to kind of high density, where you can really go into detail, interview and speak to NPCs or non-playing characters in the game, to investigate and kind of examine objects that are not there in the kind of the linear, simple, non-interactive audio story. And then in between there are a series of different levels, so from just yes or no answers to questions from the game, what you want to do, simple multi-choice, to you having short kind of action commands, what you want to do, and somewhere in between. So whether you are in transit and driving your car, you don't want to be overwhelmed with dialogue or speaking, so you might turn it down to very low or none. Or if you're in a social setting where it could be uncomfortable maybe, or awkward to speak on the subject matter you're playing, whether you're in an airplane or you're out and about. So you can set that with the user density engagement level. So we're going to go into a scene based on the story 63rd and Wallace, which is our kind of our own IP, based on a true story about H.H. Holmes, who was a serial killer who, end of the 19th century in Chicago during the World Expo, was a serial killer who built an entire hotel or a building where he lured people in to stay, and when they checked in they never checked out. Somewhat dramatized, but that's the story that we write, is 63rd and Wallace. And in this scene that we're going to jump into, the player has arrived at the hotel. So this is what it could sound like. Hope it works.
He appeared from the back room of the reception and moved elegantly towards me. A well-dressed, middle-aged, but odd-looking character. Greasy, grey stripes of hair combed to the side, partly covered his bald head, topped by a large, red fez. His dry lips were hidden behind a prominent, waxed mustache that made his face look unnaturally small, nearly comical. A tired smile slowly appeared, displaying a set of yellow and brown tainted teeth. His voice broke the silence. Good evening.
I'm looking for my sister.
With no signs of surprise by the rather direct nature of my question, he said with a smile, I assume you believe that this sister of yours resides in this building. Very well. I'd be delighted to inquire. Does your sister have a name?
Yes, Caroline Weatherford.
We do indeed have a Caroline Weatherford. According to the registry, she is one of the cleaning maids. How incredibly nice of her sister to visit. He grabbed a key from the key rack and
So I kind of just ignored his hello or good evening. We can go back and play it again, and I can try another set of ways of interacting with Mr. Holmes.
He appeared from the back room of the reception and moved elegantly towards me.
And here I can
A
also
well-dressed,
fast forward.
middle-aged, but
So
greasy,
skip
grey.
sections.
His dry lips were hidden. A tired smile slowly appeared. His voice broke the silence. Good evening.
I need help.
With no sign of compassion, he calmly said, My dear, you seem confused. You are safe here at the World's Fair Hotel. Allow me to introduce myself, Dr. Holmes, at your service. Does the young lady need a room for the night? His eyes stared straight into mine.
Yes.
A fine line of sweat formed on his forehead and rolled down to the tip of his nose. Splendid, he exclaimed, drying the sweat pearl with a stained handkerchief. The smile grew and displayed more of his teeth. Since it's low season, I can offer one of our finer accommodations.
So we can turn it off, we can go back, and we can again quickly do another example of interaction.
He appeared from the back room of the reception.
Let's go straight to
and
it. I'm gonna skip here.
His voice broke the silence. Good evening.
Good evening.
The man leaned over the counter towards me and said, Welcome, my dear. This is the World's Fair Hotel. My name is Dr. Holmes, proprietor and manager at your service. Is the young lady looking for accommodation? His eyes peered right through me.
No, I'm not.
That's unfortunate. We have vacancy, and...
So, just to go back, so that's how it kind of works. I can speak to characters inside Wanderword. The game doesn't kind of pause and puts the immersion on hold and slightly dissolve it. I'm staying inside in the scene, in the game, and as I speak, even if it's me speaking with Holmes through the narrator, I don't feel like I have to somehow have a select choice of options. So dialogue with NPCs in Wanderword is fluid, is intuitive, and it's exciting to write this story. You can put on an evil side, which is always fun to kind of find in yourself when you write this. H.H. Holmes was famously evil. But it's also fantastic to just take the player or reader through this kind of journey and think about how they interact, and obviously multiple paths they can take, but it's a beauty in the illusion of choice, you can say. Personally, I think Half-Life 2 is an amazing example of the illusion of choice, where this kind of open field opens up and you feel you can go anywhere, and that you have this tremendous impact on the story. But really, if you think about it, every level is pretty much linear. And in the same way, Wanderword would kind of branch out and branch in. We're having a lot of fun working on it. I'm going to do, this is a long video, I'm going to do other videos in the future about sound effects, about ambience, about multi-choice. We have created over 5 different audio puzzles which are based on riddles, playing around with anagrams, and we have mechanical and sound-based puzzles that different tones on a piano and so on. So we're going to put those all in 63rd and Wallace, and it will be the kind of the launch title for Wanderword. Thank you so much for watching, and hope you found this video interesting. Thanks.